Join us Saturday, February 8th through the Disruption Network 3-year anniversary party at the Jewish Community Center, 2310 Oneida Street in Utica, New York. Musical acts include Annie in the Water, acoustic performance by Haley Jane, Trampoline Jetstream, and Live Noah. Haley in the Water will cap off the night covering Fleetwood Mac's hit album, Rumors. The whole Disruption crew will be on hand and will be presenting our annual D Awards. Party kicks off at 6 p.m. There will be beer, wine, food from Doughboys Barbecue, and Holy Pizzoli with some incredible live music. Come celebrate 3 years of the D, Saturday, February 8th. For tickets, visit our website, disruptionnetwork.net.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broken everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.
You're listening to the D-Line.
All right, listen up, everybody. This is former governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're listening to the D-Line, only on Disruption Networks. That's the D. Do it now. Rah, rah.
The D-Line. Disruption Network's weekly football podcast. With your host, Chicken.
I will say, one of the greatest games I've seen this year.
Caleb.
There was no takeaways from that game. I mean, the takeaways were that we should have changed the channel early in the night.
And still.
Just fucking tit for tat, going back and forth, just a battle.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the D-Line.
Yo. Hey. We're all back.
We're back. The original three, right?
The original three are back. We're back this week. I'm back from my hiatus last week. I apologize for being absent, but it was a good week for me. John, would you like to tell everyone why it was a good week for me?
Oh, my God. So Caleb breaks a record 2 weeks in a row. He fucking goes 0-4 in the wild card weekend, and then divisional weekend, he goes 4-0.
4-0. 4-0. So it was a good week to be gone.
So, Chicken, we only have a one game.
And you know, the one that really got me was the Green Bay game. Either way.
It was boring to me. It really was.
Yeah, it wasn't an exciting game, to be honest with you.
But it was the Titans game. Because we kind of brushed over that game, and I tried making a case for the Titans, and we're like, all right, we can move along. Like, we know they're not going to do anything.
But we said that the formula they would have to follow is exactly what they did against the Patriots. You got to run the fucking ball down their throat.
Dude, that's been a success story.
But Tannehill balled out, man, that game. I mean, if you told me that Tannehill was going to run the touchdown, and Derrick Henry was going to throw a touchdown in that game, I think you're crazy.
They mixed it up. They made him, eggs basket. Here you go, and it worked. They made that defense commit to one side, one aspect of the game.
And let's give their defense credit in Tennessee. Yeah. I mean, those guys can ball.
That's safety. That safety is like I remember last year we kept talking about Matt Miliano, the linebacker in Buffalo, with the season he had, and then the rookie there from the Colts, who I still don't know his name, but he led the league in tackles 1 year. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But this safety that they've got in Tennessee, they've talked about how this guy's one of the most underrated defenders. He grades out as the second best defender in the NFL, and he has had picks in both playoff games.
That whole secondary, though. That whole secondary is ball.
Logan Ryan,
I loved the way the D-line controlled. They stayed their gaps. They didn't give an inch. I've got so many instances of it, but
they played sound football. Yeah. I mean, they know their duties. They know their job.
Incredible.
You see very Belichick-esque. I mean, he's like, all right, here are the guys that I got. Here's the formula. It's not brain science. You know what I mean? He's figured out a way. We're going to run the ball. We're going to pound it. We got this gigantic back here that can carry people with him.
They
We're gonna run the
really
ball.
trusted each other to do their own job, and it showed on the field. It really did. That nose tackle. Now here's me.
Daquan. I told you, Daquan Jones, baby.
I'm here's where I'm going to go off. I can't even hold it in anymore. On that 4th and 2, which it was 4th and 2 when we were watching the game, NFL changed it to 4th and 1, the official stats. So now I've got zero argument because I'm okay with going for it on 4th and 1 from your own 45. 4th and 2, I got a problem with. But the way it worked out was the nose tackle was in the strong side gap, and he went forward. So the guard in the center get him. So he's got there. The tackle down here, he scrapes off to get one linebacker. The other linebacker comes in and takes the hole, so it forces Lamar Jackson to cut back, and somebody else is there to fill that hole. They really played fucking disciplined football. It was so great to see. I mean, it was, and my whole problem with that call is it's like that's what you're paying your running back for, to get those tough yards up the middle in tight spots. Now, granted, 2 plays earlier, Lamar Jackson ran up the middle for 4 yards. Fine and dandy. But this is the play that you're paying that running back for.
Yeah.
You know.
Was Ingram hurt?
It seemed like he was.
I know he was picked up, but I didn't know.
I think John brings up a good point, and it was the road I want to go down with this game too, is the fact that you look at the stats. If you just go to the ESPN box scores, and you look at the top passers, top rushers, and top receiving players for each team. Okay, look at the top passers in this game. Ryan Tannehill went 7 for 14 for 88 yards and a touchdown. Okay, Lamar Jackson went 31 for 59. Threw for 365 yards. That doesn't obviously mention what he had on the ground.
They took him way out of their comfort zone.
This is not Lamar Jackson is not a quarterback that should be throwing the ball 59 times. Dare I say one of the few in the NFL that's still left that should be doing that is Drew Brees. Okay? That's about it. Lamar Jackson has not been auditioned to us as a prolific throwing passer. He's not.
They really
That's
showed
the best way to beat him is make him
exactly chicken.
Just like I always say with Dak Prescott. Make him have to beat you with his arm.
Yeah.
Because, he can't do it. I mean, he can in certain circumstances. I don't mean to take either one.
We aren't jumping off Lamar Jackson's train here. All right, we're all on it.
No. You have a better chance if you take the run game out of it.
But we knew he had some weakness, and that's inaccurate throwing. Well, when you force him to throw, 59 times? One time? What would you say?
59 times.
59 times. He's going to have a lot more inaccurate throws.
Yeah.
So,
and you're just having, not only that, though, you're telling the defense, pin your ears back and go after the quarterback at that point. Because, if you take away the run or the threat to the run, then you're, and they got great, like we just said, they got great secondary. So those guys are covered.
Yeah.
Tennessee was going from 3 down linemen to 4 down linemen to nickel coverage to quarters coverage. They were mixing it up, but keeping it really basic. It was really a beautiful thing to see, and to force Baltimore into panic mode at the end of the first quarter to try and go for a fucking on 4th and 2. Dude, they turned the ball over on downs 4 times.
Yeah.
That's a testament to that goddamn defense, man.
And I give Harbaugh a little bit of credit because he did live and die all season by that. And Lamar's the type of guy that wants the ball in his hands, so they aren't deviating from their game plan too much. But they got forced out, John. You're absolutely right. They got forced.
I understand.
Outcoached. Yeah, they did.
I understand being aggressive, which I agree they were all year. But in this case, you're only down by 7.
Yeah,
not getting it here puts you down by at least 10.
Yeah.
They are basically in field goal range from where it was at the 45. You add 17 to that.
Yeah. No kidding.
You're almost within field goal range.
Yeah.
They got to get a few yards.
Yeah.
I'm not. It was basically you're just giving up. They were. It seemed like they were playing scared. It was out of character to me.
Very out of character. I think that's a good way to put it. This was very out of character game for the prolific Baltimore Ravens.
You punt that ball and you stop them, you get the ball back right where you just punted it.
Exactly. You got to play that field.
I just.
Would you guys ever think that you would ever see the day that Ryan Tannehill is playing for the Super Bowl? Like potentially going into the Super Bowl. Like one game away.
As a backup? Yeah, sure.
Well, I guess technically you
Blake Bortles did, right? Or will at some point, I guess. But no, I mean, Chicken, I think this goes to, I don't mean to go down a Jets road here, but it just goes to show you. It goes to show you what Adam Gase can do to a quarterback.
Oh, I think you look at Ken O'Brien.
look at the quarterbacks. Look at the quarterbacks that were former Miami quarterbacks that are still playing. They're still active. I mean, I know Matt Moore's a backup, but guys that were on that Miami Dolphins roster when
but you know what?
Gase was there.
Let's get some love. Like we talked about this last week about backup quarterbacks in the Hall.
Yeah.
Like there should be a backup quarterback Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Because you bring up Matt Moore and McCown, and some guys like that. Fitzpatrick.
Sure.
These guys that they had good careers.
Yeah.
Like, you can't snub the career. Yeah, they're a backup. Yeah, but they came in and did their job when they needed to do it.
Sure, right.
And Matt Moore has still proven that he has a place in his league.
Yeah.
But speaking of, I just want to say one thing about Josh McCown that. He played
the whole second half with a torn hamstring.
Yeah. This is a 37-year-old dude out there. He's got nothing to prove.
Because he also knows it's over.
It was
that was it.
The only playoff game he's ever gotten to play in. And you know what? He was not being taken out. And
he's a grown man.
And the backup was their wide receiver, I believe.
Yeah, it was Greg Ward. He played wide receiver. He played quarterback at Houston.
Charlie's kid.
Charlie's kid. But with Tannehill, I mean, the cast of characters, the cast-offs from Adam Gase's time in Miami, and what I hope doesn't happen to my boy Sam, are immense. You mean Damian Williams was a running back in Miami. Ryan Tannehill. It just didn't work. But this is a team where they're finding something for Ryan Tannehill. Like, they're finding a way to win with him.
And here's the thing, I like what Vrabel's showing us is these guys, like you said, they're cast-offs, right? People deemed them as not very good, so that's why they sent them off. Well, under right coaching, it shows you how much coaching matters.
Yeah, sure.
That's why Belichick keeps churning off great players, and they go somewhere else, and they're duds. They're not. I mean,
sure.
We've seen it with countless guys over in
Garoppolo's starting to come around. He had a big game last week.
But even like Wes Welker, when he went over to Denver,
you know.
he played okay. But he was never as prolific as he was in New England.
But I also think that Bill has, and when we're talking about New England players that come out of New England, I think Bill also has the ability to identify when their turn has happened. So I think you're also getting a lot of those players on the downturn.
And when
and that's why he's so smart.
He also taking guys like the junior Seau's,
Sure.
They're a little bit long in the tooth that people gave up on, but still have a lot of heart and leadership. Mm-hmm. And I see that with Vrabel. He kind of takes a lot of pages right out of Belichick's book.
Yeah.
And I really, really like what he's done. Samaya's checking in. He says, Frank Reich and Jeff Hostetler. Absolutely, brother. There were two that we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think an important takeaway, too, from this Tennessee game that I kind of had was the fact that, John put it perfectly. I want to touch again on the defense and the fact that
touch on anything.
I know you do, John. I know. But
touch on his deep.
It wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't overwhelming play from the defensive line. It was solid play from the defensive line, but it was those second levels. Now I'm thinking back now, and you're absolutely right. The linebacking core and the cornerbacks. And this is a team. And Chicken said it earlier. This is not a team of your known players, of your high-priced players. Logan Ryan was an expensive free agent. They went out and got. But to be honest with you, in the last few years, if you look back at Tennessee's transaction, the way they've built this roster, they've actually gotten rid of a lot of high-talent players or your high-leverage, your high-valued players.
Marcus Mariota.
And Marcus Mariota, he is
to bench a guy like Marcus Mariota.
This is 1-1. This is former 1-1.
That's what I love about Vrabel. He doesn't give a shit.
No.
You benched a second overall pick in the draft, right? This is the guy you were building your franchise on. You benched him.
Yeah.
He wasn't hurt. You benched him for a guy deemed a bust. For a guy that everyone says he's lousy, he sucks. He got kicked out of Miami where they can't buy a win.
Takes a lot of trust. It takes a lot of trust for ownership to put that in a coach and allow that to happen.
Can you imagine doing that in New York City?
No,
Can you imagine
can't.
doing it in Chicago, Green Bay, one of these places that I think Tennessee's kind of all right, we haven't been winning. We don't have that pedigree, so now they didn't bother. But if you do that in a high marketplace, you are going to be crucified.
You had to know Vrabel wasn't sold when he went and brought in Tannehill this past offseason. He wasn't sold. He wasn't sold at Mariota. He saw year one, and it was another year of mediocrity. And he just wasn't sold. And you have to sometimes bring that veteran guy in. I mean, I hate to say it, guys. This is what Sil and I were talking before the show, and this is what we might see in Chicago. Something very similar. A talented core group of players, okay, on the field. A quarterback who is getting the job okay done. He's not horrible. We can't say Mariota or, in this case, and the point I'm alluding to is Mitchell Trubisky are horrible. All right.
Oh, I didn't know you were talking about.
They're developing. Okay, so this is where you bring in maybe a veteran quarterback to push a guy.
Like, I wouldn't mind taking a Blake Bortles as a backup.
I mean, why shoot for Blake Bortles when you can maybe think about going for a guy like an Andy Dalton?
Or Mariota.
I would love Andy Dalton in Chicago.
Yeah, he's got no soul.
You're gonna see a lot of this.
Or a reflection, but whatever.
That was you earlier.
I think we're going to see 4 or 5 teams this coming off season with a lot of veteran quarterbacks on the market, former starting veteran quarterbacks on the market. I think we're going to see this at least in 3 or 4 spots this offseason.
I think that, what we said about Nick Foles and bringing in, now we see Ryan Tannehill, that backup quarterback is going to get looked at a lot more because,
exactly.
Guys are getting hurt. You need a guy that can step right in there and take his place.
Guys are getting hurt. Guys are retiring early.
Yeah. We got another one of those coming up. Kuechly. Yeah. But I just want to say, like, if you told me that the Titans were going to win, and you told me it was like 17-14 or something really close like that, I'm like, okay, I believe that. But if you told me they were going to beat them 28-12,
blew their fucking
and the last 6 points came at the end of the game in garbage points,
right?
Like, I'd be like, full shit, dude. No way. But they were tough, man. They were
from the opening kickoff.
Belichick ran team. Like, I seen that team. I seen Belichick, or I seen Bill Cowher.
Yeah.
Like I touched on it last week where they reminded me of the old school Steelers where with, Jerome Bettis just beating the snots out of you. And just when you think, okay, they're going to run, Big Ben hit you with his big arm.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that was a very surprising game. I mean, kind of leading into that game, if you sit there and you see this huge upset on Saturday with Tennessee beating Baltimore, and then Sunday, think about this. Like, I remember I saw a tweet about it. I heard a commentator say, the Houston Texans are sitting in their hotel room in Kansas City, 1 win away from hosting the AFC Championship game. And then you go and you watch. I didn't get home in time for the first quarter, guys, of that game. And I was listening to it on the radio. I was watching the updates on my phone. I'm seeing people 14-0 Houston. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then it was 24-0. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, Houston, they were thinking in their hotel rooms last night. And then, wow. The mad fucking... I know we call Bill the mad scientist, but man, Andy Reid was fucking great on Sunday.
3.5 minutes, and they're 3 points away from tying the game. I mean, it was fucking amazing.
Yeah, literally the 10-minute mark in the second quarter to the 6-minute and 30-second mark.
Bill O'Brien did give 7 of those fucking points away.
Jesus Christ.
Now, this is what's weird. People are bitching about that on fourth, from the 13-yard line, he went for the field goal. I think that's fine. You took the points. You walked out. You're 24-0 right now.
Yeah.
That's fine taking the 3 points.
24-0. Yeah, why wouldn't you? 24-0, you take as many points as you can.
I know. People are saying, he should have went for it. He still would have been up 24-0. No, because they still got to score again. Yeah. And but the big problem was on 4th and, I don't know, was it 4th and 5?
From his, on
35 or whatever. He fucking goes for a fake punt.
It's like he was a little kid in a candy shop. He got fucking greedy.
I know that. But that's aggressive.
But that kid on the Chiefs, man, I mean, making a one-on-one tackle like that, I mean, the probability of that happening is so slim. I mean, how many times do we see whiff tackles?
Right.
I mean, that kid laid a solid tackle, open field tackle, where he looked like he was going to get dusted. He made a great play. That kid, I mean, it would have been a great call if he made it.
Right. No, I'm just like,
it
was a momentum swinger. I mean,
exactly.
It was 24-7 when they did that fake punch shit, and him being stupid aggressive. This is more different than aggressive. This is stupid aggressive.
Yeah. This is insanity.
Thinks he's gonna fucking sneak one past him, and you know what? They ended up scoring anyways and making it fucking 24-14. They probably would have scored anyways had they punted the ball.
But man, then the Chiefs just ran away with it.
That's all they needed. 7 straight drives of touchdowns after that.
Yep.
Is that not like that's Madden? That's what I call Madden.
They gave him a head start,
Worst quarter adjustment for the defense ever.
Dude, I don't John's absolutely right. That punt, I felt, literally sucked all of the energy they had in that game. You want to tell me that you want to play conservative with that field goal, which is fine with me. I'm in with the points too. Take your points.
What they said the over with on this game, 50 points or something like that?
51, I believe.
And then we were like saying 60, 70.
Right.
Was it 82? Jeez.
Well, because they just didn't take their fucking foot off the gas.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and
It's like an Arena League score.
Romeo Crennel, I mean, he's got to be out of a job. I'm not kidding. I'm very, I'm kind of surprised that Bill didn't lose his job.
It's probably because he got him that far.
I also think that they're in such disarray because they don't have a GM either. He's the GM as well.
It cost Brock Osweiler his job, and he brought him just as far.
You're right. No, that's why I'm surprised that he didn't for that kind of fucking debacle. Debacle to go up 24-0 and then get your doors blown off. Like
it is the Chiefs.
Like you weren't on the fucking field blown off.
He did too. I was like, what is going on here?
Like you weren't even coaching blown off.
Like you fucking took a timeout for fucking 3 quarters blown off.
No, that was an exciting game.
Like you thought the game was 1 quarter blown off.
I was watching in my bedroom, jumping on my bed like a little kid, laughing at just the dismal play I was watching right there. It was so funny.
And then and the other thing that I note, the other thing I take away from Houston too is I think it was the reason I say it was such a momentum booster is because if you watch Deshaun Watson's play, I almost called him Deshaun Jackson. If you watch Deshaun Watson's play at the end of the game, like from the second quarter or from the halftime on, did you not think everything he was doing was forcing the ball? He was trying to be fucking a superhero and not realizing that in the commentator, Romo actually. I love, you guys know I love Romo. I thought he put it perfectly. He said all he's trying to do is be the hero here. All he's trying to do is be the hero, and he
had no help.
He had no help, and it was, man, I that was a collapse for the ages. That was one of the biggest collapses I've ever seen, and it like I said, it's hard for me to kind of fathom.
That was Buffalo-esque.
Yeah,
it's no 28-3.
No.
But it's bad.
Yeah.
Well, I made the Buffalo joke on how bad it was, but they did that twice, didn't they?
Yeah.
No, they came back once.
Right, they came back once.
Houston.
Right.
And then Houston came back on them.
Yes.
So, yeah. Lenny's saying the Titans are going to out-veteran and out-physical the Chiefs. Andy Reid isn't a big game coach.
That's what I'm like. This is where does Andy Reid get in his own way again now?
He sure as shit didn't the other day. I'll tell you that. His offense was masterful.
Yeah, but he always reminds me of Marty Schottenheimer. Like where Marty Schottenheimer.
Good comp. Good comp.
Right?
Good comp.
Marty had some great freaking teams with the Chiefs too.
Yeah.
Chiefs, the Chargers, and they had some real strong teams. And then they get in the playoffs. And they lose to like the Colts, or they lose,
When Nagy was
when
Nagy was offensive coordinator, they made it to the AFC Championship game, and they were up at the half big time, and then they took their foot off the pedal.
Fucking Nagy.
Does this say that Andy Reid has finally learned keep your foot on the fucking gas?
And I think that's where he's taking a page out of Bill Belichick's book
and
saying, you know what, we don't have the greatest defense, okay, so we're just gonna pedal to the metal and just drop, pile on the score, just build up the score. And
who cares if they score 30? We just scored 51.
The drives are like quick.
Yeah.
Quick. 3-4 plays. 3-4 plays. 3-4 plays.
Great athletes, man.
It seems like every drive of those 7 touchdown drives that stick out to me, even drives where they were stopped toward the end of the game, there's always one big play. And whether it's Mahomes setting up the screen, whether it's Mahomes finding Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce was awesome.
He was a beast.
Awesome on Sunday. Whether it was that, whether it was Damian Williams bailing him out, it just seemed like it was the perfect script. It really was. I give Andy Reid a lot of credit, and Eric, I have no idea how you don't have a job beyond me. I give him a lot of credit too. Okay, so you
didn't get hired over in the Panthers? I know he was they went in for like a second or third interview.
No, the Panthers have head coach now, Matt Rule.
Oh, they did send because he was interviewing for I thought times over in the.
No, Matt Rule got hired about a week and a half ago. So we'll talk about that in a second.
We talked about it last week.
Oh, you're right. I thought he was. Who was going to hire behind me? Like he interviewed. Like I thought
Carolina was pretty much the destination I thought he was going to.
Huh.
But
interesting.
Who knows? So, and then the Packers.
Let's get to the 49ers game. Fuck that.
You want to talk the 49ers game? Sure.
Great run game. Good job. Holy shit.
Tevin Coleman, baby. Tevin Coleman. He pops up when needed.
And San Fran, I mean, to do this in Minnesota, Minnesota beat the snots out of, the New Orleans Saints, who we all thought were going to probably run the board with this.
Right.
So we're like, wow, the Vikings really got something here. But 49ers have their number.
If anybody imposed their will all weekend, it was totally the 49ers.
Yeah.
The Vikings were scared. That number 11 returning fucking punts was literally shaking.
I don't think they deserve to be there.
Right? No, I agree with you. I really think they were playing scared. They were really shitting their pants. Good fucking just 49ers dominated. That D-line, sick.
And that's another team full of kind of cast-offs. I mean, there's really no legit, high-profile player.
Where?
In San Fran, on offense, when they first started. Because Garoppolo was a backup.
I agree with the wide receivers, but Kittle,
Kittle.
Who was Kittle, though, before he started blowing up? I mean,
you got to thank the head coach
but that's what I'm
for that
saying.
offense.
He's getting a lot out of these guys who are, cast-offs, no names. George Kittle really became a major name this year. I mean, this year is his big year that he became that.
He's had a couple good years in a row. But I see what you're saying, Chicken. I think more or less, not so much cast-offs would be my word, is more so they found value in players that were mid-level players. Tevin Coleman.
Great role-playing guys.
Tevin Coleman, not going to be a number one running back anywhere. But good number 2.
Yep.
Good number 3. Okay? So finding guys that can kind of fall into roles, I think, is a little bit more of where I feel comfortable going. That another option they have literally 4 or 5 guys in the backfield because can't forget about Kyle Juszczyk. Kyle Juszczyk is a lethal weapon. He could catch the ball out of the backfield. He's their fullback.
Big boy.
He's a great blocker as you mentioned. This is a guy that they're finding the right roles. I think that's more or less what it is. And
it's great coaching.
It is great.
Yes, and that is great coaching.
Great drafting, Lynch.
And I think you see the same game plan that was enacted in Tennessee enacted here in San Francisco. Lean on the running backs. Garoppolo threw the ball 14 times, okay, for 131 yards. So they didn't ask him. These are
8 years of pop, a little over 8 years.
Yeah, these are guys that you're asking. You're not asking to go out there and be the wonder of the game. You're asking them a Ryan Tannehill. You're asking them to go out there and do their job and lean on other players and build up for those plays. Build up to the run. Be the threat to have the run there. You know what I'm saying? And these two teams' offensive lines are just nasty.
Lenny's checking in. He's saying Coleman is our physical game plan runner, and he's right. I can see that. And he said they built it through the draft. Lynch and Shannon did it the Bill Walsh way, and they're all character guys. And he's right. How much do you love Kittle? George Kittle, I love this guy. He's just like an animal out there. Like you said, he could run, he could block. Just like you were mentioning, what was that guy's name?
Juszczyk, Kyle Juszczyk, yeah.
He kind of reminds me of, oh my God, what was the guy in
Jimmy?
No, in New Orleans. He's
Jimmy Graham?
Tight end, running back, quarterback.
Oh, Taysom Hill?
Taysom Hill. Yeah, he kind of reminds me of that, like, put him anywhere, and he's just an athlete. Just put him anywhere, and he could. We had a guy on our team, Dole. Dole. You can plug him in any position, and he'll play any position.
He was Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an important thing to have, and I think it could be a little bit of a factor because you don't really know what's going to go on with those players, and these are players that are popping up just a little bit more in the playoffs than they did in the regular season.
But I love it. I love the way that they're doing it. Like you said, strong character guys that aren't household names, but they play hard and they buy into the system.
It's important to remember, too. I mean, yes, they did pay a hefty price for Quan Alexander. That's kind of been their big free agent that they brought in, the linebacker. But this is a team that in the last few years has lost 3 out of 4 of their starting linebackers to retirement, even. From Patrick Willis to Chris Borland. These are guys that they retired because they were dealing with certain problems.
Willis was a Hall of Famer.
Dealing with certain problems in the NFL. So this is a team that's had to kind of rebuild in a scramble here,
coach and
the
whole identity of that team. I mean, once Harbaugh left, and then Colin Kaepernick, that whole deal. Like he was supposed to be Colin Kaepernick was supposed to be their franchise quarterback. Once they got rid of what's his name, go to the Chiefs. Alex
Smith.
Smith went to the Chiefs. That's because Kaepernick was supposed to be their franchise quarterback. Now, he didn't live up to what they were supposed to and that whole thing. So now you're kind of lost. Like, what do we do? Like, where do we go? And the Janine Garoppolo thing.
Well, then they bring Lynch in, and he turns it all around. I mean,
Lynch was probably the most important.
I see what you did there. I just
he's going to be a sought after. Lynch is going to be a sought after commodity coming in the next few years. He's going to be very, very sought after. Kind of a John Dorsey-esque when with what he did in Kansas City and then went to Cleveland and kind of bombed. But I think John Lynch is going to be a very high ticket name.
You knew John Lynch was there in the front office. You're going to have a hard-nosed team.
Can I be honest with you? I did not believe in John Lynch for a second when they hired him.
As soon as they hired him, I know you're going to have a good defense.
I thought it was a fucking quack move, to be honest with you. Really? I thought it was fucking nuts. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. There are some former players. I think you have to give a player a little bit of time. I think they have to go through the development. He was immediately named this position.
I know. I was like, he didn't do any coaching that we know of. It caught me off guard, but I had no, I didn't take a guess at how we do, but I just thought it was odd.
Yeah, I thought it was odd originally too, but I mean, sometimes it's better to be odd. Fuck.
See, I thought it was a great choice, like right from the beginning, because I always had a lot of respect for John Lynch.
Oh yeah,
and he was a hard hitter. He was a smart player. He played for many, many years on some great defenses, and I just knew what he embodies. He's like a Ray Lewis, those type of players. They just embody toughness. And that's why I always felt like guys like Ray Lewis, Urlacher, some of these guys, I'd rather see them on the sidelines than in a booth. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? These guys were like on the field generals. Mm-hmm. And when you look at like John Lynch, he knew the kind of team that he wanted to put together. He wanted a tough-nosed team. He wanted a run team. He wanted a strong defense. That's why they drafted, 4 first-round defensive linemen?
Yeah, well, they have their D line does include three former first round picks for them, but I mean Lynch made one of them. It's Bosa, so but I mean it's keeping those guys there. So I mean and damn,
Bosa's a good pick.
Fucking Bosa's been good, man.
Raise your hand if you thought Bosa was going to get hurt with how hard he plays.
Yeah,
this year. I mean seriously,
and his brothers problems.
Right,
the injury problems his brothers had.
Well, his brothers, J.J. Watt. It's like when you play that hard all the time, your body poops out. Yeah. And I'm just really surprised. I'm like, any date, hopefully not this game. You got 2 more games, Bob. Keep it up,
Put those Toradol shots into you. Get those Toradol shots as quick as you can there, bud. There, Nick Bosa.
That was a good game, the San Fran Minnesota game, because I hate Minnesota, so I love to see them getting this.
Yeah, I'm sure you liked it, but I thought it was like just eyewash the entire time. Yeah, they shouldn't even play the game. It was
close for about half of it.
Yeah,
and then it just started. All right, you're seeing the tables turned after the first punt fumble.
So it's relatively about the same score as the Baltimore Titans game, but I bet your eyes were glued to that Baltimore Titans game.
Oh, yeah. Shit, yeah.
Like it was a fucking candy in a dime store window. I was just up against the glass of the TV, just enamored with the glorious football that I was watching.
From the Titans?
Yes.
It was just unbelievable. And I, San Fran playing great football, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're doing it almost the same way. If these two teams face each other in the Super Bowl, I mean, you're
looking at a 6-3 contest of just a bunch of dick kicking.
I don't know though, because both these teams can run it. You got Kittle.
Both aggressive, both coached well.
Ryan Tannehill hit a 50-yard bomb for a touchdown. I'm like, there was one point it was like 2 of his last 2 throws were touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'm like, this dude was dropping dimes. It wasn't like he was just being a game manager. I mean, he was making some plays.
It also helps when Derrick Henry can run with 3 guys on his back.
Exactly.
I mean, 2 yards for him is 5 yards.
Kirk Cousins was running for his goddamn life most of the game.
That's all he's done his whole fucking life.
Bad for him, actually.
And he's saying they took Lynch took Solomon Thomas too. And, he said Lynch.
Yeah, Solomon Thomas too. Yes, pardon me. Yes, that's right.
It was coached by Bill Walsh in Stanford.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's just it was an interesting connection to see Lynch go back there. I as John said,
I didn't really have a connection
it's hard
to San Fran.
Yeah, it's hard
I thought if you went to Tampa, okay, I get it. But like San Fran, I didn't really see the connection except for, hey, these guys really need a change around.
Yeah.
And
I can go for a reach around.
Yeah, I bet you will.
Also to keep this in mind about a San Francisco team, you're also talking about Kyle Shanahan, yes, the son of Mike, all right, but Kyle Shanahan was passed over numerous times, and that's one thing that starts to hurt a head coach after a while. And I think it might be a little of the it might hurt Eric Bieniemy a little bit too. Kyle Shanahan went through, I believe it was 2 off seasons where he interviewed for almost all the head coaching jobs and didn't get one. Okay, and I mean, yes, waiting for the right guy is a certain thing. If you believe, you believe. With GMs and stuff like that. But that has to speak a little bit. When I remember when Shanahan got hired there, I was actually a little bit even surprised about that. Okay, because I was like, this is a guy who's been passed over a couple times, but when you have the recommendation of who's behind you and what the coaching tree he comes from.
But his offense was strong.
Yeah, his offenses were strong, and I think he did make some. He got out of Atlanta in the right time. We can admit that. We can all admit that.
But if you're these players, right, and you're playing on the San Francisco 49ers, and they got a relatively young squad. You know what I mean? They got a young group of players who grew up watching John Lynch play, who grew up under knowing Kyle Shanahan's father, Mike Shanahan, and the teams that he had in Denver and what he did. So like, if you're these guys, you're gonna listen. You're gonna listen, and you're gonna buy into the system because you're like, these guys have a pedigree that they know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
and they work with or around some of the greatest coaches that ever played the game. So
you have to with really any coach. So you think about a McVay when McVay got hired in LA. McVay came with nothing. McVay came from being a quarterbacks coach. A 1 year as an OC in Washington. He did come with some clout from everybody who's been under. And there's a great there's a great moment in on NFL films of Gruden and him talking when he was an assistant on Gruden's staff in Tampa Bay, but. These are guys that have built up through the ranks. I think sometimes it's not hard for guys to get behind these younger coaches. I also think, in the experience, you're talking about, like, take for instance a team in Tennessee, a bunch of grinders. Taylor Lewan, I feel like he takes every interview with a dip in and has a beer in his hand. You ever feel like he's holding a beer below the cameras?
Yeah, but I like that.
I love it. But that's what I'm saying. But that's
you need
why
a guy like that.
That's why yes, Mike Vrabel, inexperienced young coach, gets hired there. But he connects with those players. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it should. Maybe sometimes connecting with players is not hiring. I don't say these are bad hires. I'm just saying hiring Mike McCarthy, the old man Mike McCarthy. Maybe it's not hiring the old man Ron Rivera. Maybe it is hiring Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland, the young coach that can relate to Baker Mayfield. Okay. Sometimes it's not about being the Freddie Kitchens disciplinarian or the Freddie Kitchens tough, rugged type of guy. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes being a younger guy like Kyle Shanahan, relating to guys. There's another coach that's had a lot of success who's a young coach too, is now with the Bears. John DeFilippo, who's one of the quarterback gurus in football. I watched there was an interview from the Combine when Carson Wentz was interviewing with him when he was with the Eagles. And they were breaking down plays. And they connected. It's not that old man, you see the guy with that old style of sports, it's the old scout, the old rigid scout, sitting there like, this is how I do it, boy, like this is how it's going to happen. Like, no, you have to conform to how these players play. You have to conform to how Ryan Tannehill is going to play. That's what good coaching is.
And what we're seeing now, the Bill Belichick way, and now we're seeing it with Vrabel, and we're seeing it with Andy Reid, is they're not using guys like one guy to run all different things. They're scouting guys for certain plays, for certain parts of the game. Like you're looking for guys to hit deep, fast, speedy guys. You're looking for that, guys who run certain routes and certain plays. Certain guys on defense. You're only in there on nickel
passing downs or whatever. Yeah.
I thought it was incredible, to go to your point, Chicken, when Romo was talking about Will Fuller in Houston. He kept saying, if Will Fuller's in the game, you know where he's going. Where's Will Fuller going? He's fucking going.
Yep.
Okay, you've talked about that before too. We've talked about that on the show, and it was so interesting to watch that through the game. I think it's fun to watch it with somebody who really wants to give their knowledge off and let you know what's going on. Because I started to notice that about Will Fuller, and Will Fuller actually made a huge play in the game, and I thought Houston was going to have a chance to come back at that point when he went deep, and it was the exact play Romo was talking about. You're exactly right. We're starting to see a weaponized offenses and weaponized teams.
And here's the thing that what I love about this though, you're putting guys in position to succeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you build up their confidence, and you put them in a position. So you're not asking a guy who's a good rusher to drop back into cover because he might be lousy at covering. And so, like, why have him in there covering when you can have another guy who's good at covering do that job? I know you want to disguise your packages and stuff like that, but you know what? Let the guys do what they do. This guy usually laughing about that.
Gone is the Tony Saragusa plugging the hole in the middle.
Right.
You know, just putting his fat ass in the middle and stopping the run, you know?
You still have those guys that are there for run stuffing.
But now, with the way the NFL game is looping back around to that, we're going to start seeing big motherfuckers in the middle.
Because you got Derrick Henry. You got these big backs. And, you know,
I'm salivating. I can't wait, dude.
Because that's what's happening. These guys that build these fast defenses, you get a guy like Derrick Henry, they can't bring him down.
Yeah.
And look what happened when Seattle won the Super Bowl, and then they won again the next year, was they had beast mode.
Yeah.
You know, they had the big backs. And it's great to see it because that's smash mouth football.
Yep.
That's what you want to see. But I like putting people in position because then they build confidence.
Yeah.
And then you can grow them from there.
Radiates through the team, too.
And by the way, you can also get rid of them for a high price because, you know, they got like 17 sacks and you realize they can't do nothing else.
The Bill Belichick way.
Yep.
The Bill Belichick way. Use them, milk them, and send them on their way. There's one guy that he was wrong about, and he's tearing it up in Arizona now. He's Defensive Player of the Year is Chandler Jones. But you know what? At the same time, the time value of money. All right, is it worth giving that much money to one player? You know, if in the Patriots system or in any team system, you're gonna start to see. I think that's the way we're gonna see the NFL game going more to that analytical side. Are we? Does a mid-level player, a good player that can do multiple things and brings multiple things to the table? Is his value higher than a guy who has all those numbers? What you'd call a great player who is a very one-dimensional player. And, are we going to go toward a new NFL here? I think that's also the way. I think it's going to be a combination of both.
When you look at players, and we've seen it in
guys who plug in.
We've seen it in Cleveland.
Need you to do this. You do that.
We've seen it in Cleveland. Well, you got two really good wide receivers. But if you can't get them the ball, they're not that good. And Larry Fitzgerald's career was like that.
Yeah.
You know, like when he's got a decent quarterback.
He's coming back.
Coming back for 17, baby, Larry.
I feel like he's filling out a jail sentence or something. Like, what did you do to get stuck in Arizona all these years? Like, let this guy go someplace. You know, if you went to New England, I'd be happy for him. Like, all right, maybe you got a chance at something. But you're stuck in fucking Arizona, dude. Like, Anquan Bolden was like, I'm out this bitch. Like, he was like, I'm gone. And he went and got a Super Bowl. Almost got two.
But for a guy like Larry Fitzgerald, he lives in Arizona, his home's in Arizona, his family's in Arizona.
He's what we love about football. He is.
You know damn sure that motherfucker ain't practicing until at least Wednesday. All right, at least Wednesday.
I disagree. I think he's there every day.
Oh, he's there. He's waving to the boys.
I think he's practicing every day because he's that dude.
Well, but you also have to remember, Chicken. Maybe he's more valuable in street clothes Monday and Tuesday. And then he can put the pads on Wednesday and Thursday. Because if he's standing there coaching the wide receivers with your wide receivers coach, I'd be like, if I was a wide receivers coach, I'd be like, Larry, would you like to come in and show everyone how to do this? Because I'll take the promotion coming soon. Thank you.
Lenny's making a couple good points. He said fullbacks are coming back too, which is great to see.
Yes, they are. Big time.
And then he says analytics only works in baseball. The human element can't be replaced in football.
Truth.
We have discussed that.
Yeah.
I think there is.
It doesn't work in either, I don't think.
There's room for analytics. You kind of got to like use it almost like as a guide.
Yeah.
But like sometimes I hate when teams do that and they look too much for that guide and they don't look at things. We talk about heart and
my one takeaway is for the analytics argument, we've had this before. Here's the one thing I ask both of you: would you ever sign a player? Would you ever, if you were a GM sitting in the GM's office, okay, if somebody said, "I'd like you to sign John Smith. He's a really good player." What would your next question be? Well, what are his stats like? What has he done? That's analytics. And you're looking at the numbers. Analytics has been around forever, okay? It's just people are now digging deeper into these stupid categories, these too deep categories,
and
okay?
We enter the fantasy football world.
Exactly.
Where everyone's like, oh, that guy had a lousy career, lousy year this year. And they're like, what do you mean? He played great. And be like, well, he was on my fantasy team. He didn't. But did you see the blocks that he made? Did you see that tough catch he made over the middle? Yeah, he only got 3 catches, but it was like in key moments or they're great catches. You know what I mean? Like, you take away the element of the game when you just judge it by stats.
Yeah, exactly.
The analytics part of play calling is what's killing me.
Yeah.
It's dictating way too much. Well, there's a 13% chance we can do this. I'm willing to take that chance.
Well,
no!
And
that fucking number doesn't take the game situation into effect.
Yeah.
It doesn't take the momentum. It doesn't take the crowd. It doesn't take effect that you're playing with a 12th man in Seattle or in the middle of Arrowhead in the middle of January.
If you're going by analytics, and the reason why the Bears chose Mitch Trubisky was because they interviewed him. Lenny's saying, tell me about this character. And that's exactly why the Bears chose Mitch Trubisky. They loved his character. They loved what he had to say as a person, as a player, as a teammate, which is a key thing.
Now, this is what blows my mind out of Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. Are you telling me they were that bad?
No.
They're fucking church boys.
I'm sure they were on the list, but something about Mitch Trubisky is what they like better. I know. Maybe he fit the scheme. I don't know. I honestly think if Mitch Trubisky went to Kansas City,
he'd be doing close to the same thing.
Maybe not Mahomes-esque, but I think he'd be doing a hell of a lot better than he's playing right now because of the system, because of the coaching. We see the coaching. A lot of people, again, I can't stress how important coaching is. Everybody wants to blame, and I hate to go on the Bears rant, they're not in the playoffs, but whatever. Caleb's taking a shit, so he can't say anything. But
doors open too.
And you see it with, and we see it with Tannehill saying that Tannehill was garbage.
Right.
Then he goes under good coaching, and look what he's playing. I don't think Nagy's a bad coach.
Trubisky's better under Nagy than he was under Fox.
Absolutely.
That I agree with.
Everybody's better under Fox. But my point is, you brought Nagy in to be the quarterback guru. You brought a quarterback coach in. You brought all this stuff in, and you're not getting it. It's something's up with the coaching. Because you see it, he's able to make these plays.
I'm hoping the O-line fixes this because when you're under fucking pressure every single play and you get basically a 1 count, you're going to have problems. Your timing's not going to be there. You have to have faith in your O-line. He had none this year, so I don't.
And there's bad play calling all the way around.
But I don't blame it on Trubisky yet.
No, I don't either. And that's why, when you look at Ryan Tannehill and what he's been able to do, and you look at some of these guys that we deemed as garbage, Deshaun Watson, we didn't know what he was going to turn into. I thought he was going to be great. I wanted Deshaun Watson. I didn't know a lot about Mahomes. I wanted Watson. I believe Watson's a gamer.
Big surprise there.
I agree with you.
Watson's a gamer, man.
Go figure.
But I think you're going to see Trubisky's going to have some success. But whoever is quarterback in Kansas City, as we've seen with Matt Moore came in and filled in great. He has none of the attributes as Mahomes.
Right.
But
he has 2 legs.
It's that
2 arms.
2 arms.
Head.
And I can't wait to watch this game between the Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because of the coaching, I'm becoming a fan of Vrabel just because, I love the way he coaches. And he's not afraid of anybody.
I'm glad it's the first game so I can get the really good one out of the way.
Before, yeah, I know, right? Exactly, the one we want to watch, right? Before we get into the games, there's just a couple things I want to talk about. And I think it goes well with what you're talking about with Tennessee, and it's a couple of the coaching changes. I want to go back and talk about Bill Lazor, the hire in Chicago. But one thing that I want to tell people, and I don't think that they realize, is the D coordinator in Tennessee is Dean Pease. Okay, Dean Pease has been.
He goes great with carrots.
D's peas. He was the defensive coordinator for a long time. A long time. He was the heir apparent to Rex Ryan in Baltimore and was one of Rex's top assistants in Baltimore. He's been known for having good defenses and being a leader on defense. And this is a guy who never got that head coaching shot, which is kind of surprising. I thought he would have gotten his shot as being a head coach, but quietly went over to Tennessee, and look what his defense has been doing. And it stresses the importance of, I think, resume for me and body of work, as well as combinations of the right players, obviously, and that grinder, work ethic. All right, and that's what certain things you look for in hiring coaches. I mean, we're seeing a lot of jobs being filled now in the coordinator position because we do have all of our head coaching positions filled now. It's going to be interesting to see where a lot of these teams go with these coordinator spots, because we now start to realize, as we've stressed so much, is how important they really are. All right. Yes, the head coach leads everything. There was a lot of weird head coaching hires, but
who did Brown settle on?
Kevin Stefanski.
Oh yeah,
offensive coordinator from Minnesota, which.
Really surprised. I thought they were going to go McDaniels.
Here's the way that
it's not a bad pick. The guy would make every game plan. He would do something. He'd focus on the offensive strengths against the defense.
So I bet you that goes with that character thing, because I feel like McDaniels has
the reason this hire
the wrong way.
The reason this hire happened, from what I've been gathering, is McDaniels was offered the job, but he was offered the job with the stipulation that Paul DePodesta, who was somebody I've talked about before, if you've ever watched the movie Moneyball, all right, about the Oakland A's, Paul DePodesta is Jonah Hill. Okay, he left baseball and went over to football and has been working in the analytics department for Cleveland. Cleveland then fired John Dorsey because they were going in a different direction. Obviously, Cleveland is adopting this analytical idea, all right, the deep analytics of football. So basically, McDaniels was offered the job but wanted carte blanche with the roster. DePodesta said no. He said that you can have the job, but it's going to be his roster, and that they would share the responsibilities of building the roster. McDaniels wanted to hire his own GM and make it his own roster. Stefanski comes from, not as storied of a past as McDaniels. Was a pretty good backup quarterback in the NFL for a few years, then became a coach, has, kind of a viable resume as a head coach, or as a coordinator. And he was the one willing to submit to basically allowing DePodesta to build this team.
Dave's saying that, Stefanski was the choice of DePodesta last year.
Yes.
But he got overruled.
Yeah. So
and Lenny's saying a coach's success is based on his assistants he hires. I would normally agree, yes, except for that guy Bill Belichick, who his assistants go elsewhere and don't really mount too much.
Yeah. But they're also
that's a rarity.
Yeah, but they're also important. I mean, you saw
the Bill Belichick tree of coaching.
Yeah, it's a flop.
The totem pole.
And look no further than one of his disciples being hired this year, and it was the one I didn't think would be hired. I never thought Joe Judge would be a head coach this year. Joe Judge,
the special teams coach to
wide receiver coach, special teams coach to head coach.
And then they were interviewing
Jason Garrett, which I think is a great move.
I think that's terrible.
Oh, it's a phenomenal move. Jason Garrett would be an awesome OC.
No way.
Yes.
Dude, half the problem with him was the bland play calls, the boringness of his offense.
The last 2 years, Kellen Moore's been the offensive coordinator.
His whole existence there, he's been boring.
I think Garrett's a good hire there. I hope they hire him.
I disagree. I think no way. You need a young guy, a young, fresh coordinator.
Milky.
Yeah. You need
Milky. What?
You need a McVay. You need a McDermott. You need, a Kyle Shanahan. A guy that's gonna
Well, you can't have them because they're not available.
No, but there's
right.
Eric Bieniemy. He would be a perfect choice. Actually, Jim Schwartz. I said this last week. Jim Schwartz would have been the perfect choice for that Giants. They have a shitty defense. He's a great defensive coordinator. He's coming from your divisional rival. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Everything about the Eagles. So why not hire this guy? He's got a Super Bowl ring. I would hire him over
I don't think he has enough. I don't think he has enough poise to be in the New York media. I don't think he could run the team in New York.
I think he turned that team around and make them at least a contender, at least an 8-8 team right away.
Well, Schwartz is another guy who's gotten quite a few interviews in the last few years.
I was going to say he did get an interview
Cleveland interviewed him, and he's gotten interviews in the past and hasn't gotten jobs. So there's something wrong there. I mean, there's got to be something there. So
and it's saying worst coaching tree, Belichick or Billick.
Oof, that's tough. I mean, I would say Belichick, but that's just me. I mean, Belichick's best is.
You had Sexy Rex, right?
Yeah, Rex was a disciple there. So I mean,
and Billick was a disciple of Green, right?
Yeah, Dennis Green. Yeah. Well, the other interesting thing that happened this past week too, after LSU wins the national championship, Joe Burrow, might as well just put him in a. This is the most predictable 1-2 pick I've ever seen in NFL history. It's going to be Burrow and it's going to be Chase Young. All right, 1-2. So you put Burrow in Cincinnati, but interesting move that happened after the game is Joe Barry. Joe Barry has been the highly, highly touted assistant for a few years now, since his grad years at Penn State, which is pretty wild. He's only 30. He will they paid him a little over $3 million to be the new offensive coordinator in Carolina. So Dave Tepper is now committed almost $12 million to 2 coaches on his coaching staff.
Wow.
That's a fuck ton of money. So, he had success. Does this start the conspiracy theories? Would Carolina maybe mortgage everything to go to the top of the draft? It's a possibility.
Well,
might it work?
They now have to worry about getting a linebacker or a linebacker in free agency.
Yeah, big move yesterday. I mean, it kind of. Did you watch Kuechly's statement?
I did not.
Okay, if you get a chance to watch Luke Kuechly's statement, he looks
Did he
like
forget it halfway through?
John,
I mean,
he looks like no. You're right. He looks like a skeleton of a man.
I don't blame him for retiring after multiple concussions.
Is that why he's the
and only being 28 years old?
Do you think that losing Ron Rivera as a head coach had anything to do with it?
No.
I think it is tough.
I think if Rivera was to stay, Kuechly wouldn't have retired.
Percentage wise, the new coach in Carolina, if you had to ask me for a percentage wise on if the effect it had on his retirement, I would put it at no more than 5%.
Well, because like a lot of these guys, like, do I really want to get?
Do I want to put myself out there for this new guy?
You're on the.
Nah.
When I can't think straight, my brain is mush. You know.
Well, when you're on the fence, and you're like, all right, well, I played for this guy. I know this guy. I love playing for Rivera.
Right.
His players loved him. I mean, this guy get fired, and then he goes and like shows a new guy around, and I mean, he was just a good dude. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think the Redskins made a great hire. Yep. But I feel like you see this a lot. These guys that say, okay, they lose that coach where they might have played if he would have stayed, but you know what? He's not here, so I'm gone. Like Briggs. I think Briggs would have played another 2 years, 3 years.
Right. Yeah.
Had Lovey stayed. Mm-hmm. So I just wonder if like that had a little bit to do with his decision.
I think it has to. I think John is right about that. I think it does. It does have to play a factor in his.
Like, how much effort do I want to do? I have it in me to put this effort forth? And it's like, you know what? I don't really want to start over again with a new coach. It's going to take extra effort. You know what? And with my head the way it is, I got my second contract, so I got the big one. I think I'm done. Let me remember my kids in 5 years.
And it goes, and to be honest with you, it goes back to, I think a lot of players are going to start looking at, the lives that the Chris Borlands are leading, and he's an advocate for the CTE thing with the NFL. And if you, we'll hit on it in a second, but if you watch the Aaron Hernandez documentary on Netflix, he's actually in that. So, he's doing a lot of other things. Andrew Luck, I mean, we haven't heard from him. He stepped away from the game. Andrew Luck's found a way to really kind of live a life that he wanted to. This is the life that he really wanted to do. He wanted to step away from the game. He played his years. He made his money.
He's out of the spotlight.
Yeah, he's out of the spotlight. I mean, Luke Kuechly.
I've heard from him since the beginning of the season.
Luke Kuechly had a great career at Carolina. Maybe he still wants to have half a brain to go back to BC and get the rest of his degree. Maybe that's something that he values. These guys.
Hall of Fame?
Oh man, that's the no.
It's 28, but no. If he played a couple more years, I think
What now? Hang on, Gale Sears, 4 or 5 years Hall of Fame?
I guess we got to really look at Kuechly's numbers.
I don't like him at all. I do not. Just because he was in the same era as Urlacher and people compared him to him pisses me off to no end.
See, that makes me like him a little bit more.
Nope.
Because like you see that
because Urlacher was way better.
Oh yeah, I agree. But
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, name 3 linebackers better.
Ray Lewis is the only guy.
Okay, and Crickets, and then Crickets more, or what?
Did you say middle linebacker or linebacker? I mean,
linebacker. Period.
Well, Lawrence Taylor.
Okay, so there's 3. You did it. Good job.
That guy was a fucking animal.
He was nasty.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'd let him hit me once.
Back it up. Lenny's saying that Kuechly is one of the most cerebral linebackers of our generation, and he thinks that the rebuild had more to do with him leaving.
So the new coach coming in, yeah, okay.
Well, which I can see too. Like, you get that rebuild, and who knows what's going to happen with Cam Newton,
right? And defensive scheme.
And Cam Newton is another one that falls into that whole analytics thing. Analytically, Cam Newton is a monster. Like, anybody would want him on their team.
I just saw today Cam Newton gone by March.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's done. I think he needs a change of scenery. I think he needs an attitude adjustment. He needs to be put with a coach that's gonna not put up with his shit and like.
Right, but I don't blame him for getting out.
No, I mean, it's his decision. I mean, it's.
Dave's saying he like Willis a little bit. What you talking about, Willis? No way. I put Derek Thomas ahead of Willis. Nah, I don't know. Willis is pretty nasty.
All right, I was just making a sentimental comment, okay? About
you started.
Yeah, I know. It's just kind of, we're going to have the top 10 linebackers in NFL history.
Yeah. More great linebackers who are
speaking,
just worse
Derek
than
Thompson actually retired.
Speaking of greats, I got to watch it live on Sunday. I didn't see the Saturday one, but I thought what the NFL did, the NFL Hall of Fame did for Jimmy Johnson and Bill Cowher was cool. Seeing Jimmy,
wicked cool.
I watched Jimmy Johnson's reaction live to that. It seemed genuinely that the two of them did not know it was coming. I thought the raw emotion was just really cool. I mean, Jimmy Johnson, I thought was having a heart attack. If you watched him talk and the way he was like when he first started talking, he said he's like, I can't even talk. I mean, it goes to show you how much the moments like that are the moments I wish that every sports fan could really see and understand.
And what was the first thing that Jimmy Johnson said?
Talked about his guys.
He thanked his assistant coaches.
Yeah.
Like Lenny said, like, you're built up by, that's core guys. And that was really cool of him to go right into the thanking the coaching staffs and his former players.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that the NFL uses the same guy. So the second you see him.
Yeah, you see him and you know.
I got him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that would suck.
Shit, yeah. Caleb.
I fucking the one thing that pissed me off was I can't think of who the host is for Fox now, but like they were like the guy was trying to be personable. The guy who delivers the news was trying to be personable with Jimmy Johnson, and like while he's doing it, this fucking idiot comes over and like turns him and was like, "Yes, we just need you to turn like this toward the camera a little."
Oh, are you serious?
He fucking interrupted it. Like they're having a fucking moment. Like you can let the guy look at the fucking guy. All right, it doesn't have to be everything for TV. Like that was a fucking raw moment, and I don't think either of them knew. Cower or Johnson, and it was just like it was cool to see like the reaction, like you said, who these guys think, and
you can't argue
what
with that. Those
sports,
are two great
coaches. What sports means to these two guys. What this sport meant.
I thought Jimmy Johnson was already in. I don't know why.
Yeah, me too. I honestly did too. I honestly thought Jimmy Johnson was in the Hall of Fame already. But
yeah, I was kind of a little bit surprised. And Bill Cowher. I mean,
yeah, no, dude, these are two guys who should have been in 5 years after they stopped coaching.
And the jaw, Bill Cowher. Like,
yeah.
I always hated the Steelers fans because you know why. We used to go and like get harassed by Steeler fans all the time. Like I once stood in front of a game with like 20 Steeler fans, and I was the only Bears fan, and I ate dirt. Yep. But the way that Bill Cowher had those Steelers playing, and like I would have loved Bill Cowher to be a Chicago Bear coach.
Yep.
He had that jaw, and like like he was fired up. This players come to the sideline, he'd headbutt them on good plays, and he'd chew them out for bad plays. You did not want to come back to that sideline if you fucked up. And he was that gritty, tough nosed coach that we don't really see too much in the NFL anymore.
Well, thinking back to something on Sunday, and I thought one of the biggest Bush League things I've seen in the NFL in a long time was Damian Williams.
Referee knocked Vrabel down.
That was pretty awesome. That was pretty great, by the way. Mike just taking hits still. But I thought it was Damian Williams' rush for the touchdown, and he just broke the plane, and turned around and put the ball in front of the defender. They almost tackled him and stopped him from the goal line. Okay, and they ended up the defensive player ended up taking the ball and just threw it away, and they threw the flags then. Thank God the referees got together, got the call right, called it on Damian Williams' 15-yard penalty. If you watch, Damian Williams runs to the sideline, gets to the sideline, and no sooner than the next image, so they're now going to commercial, okay? The next image they show on the Kansas City sideline is Andy Reid up his fucking ass. Right up his fucking ass, right in his fucking grill, right in just in an Andy Reid way. He's not a fucking screamer. He's not a loose cannon or anything. Just right up next to him, and you could tell it was a conversation Andy Reid was having with him.
It's a game of momentum, and do not give them the fucking momentum.
Yeah,
and Andy Reid's been known as a classy style coach.
Yeah, he didn't show his player up, and if you notice, the next time the same thing. Damian Williams scored 2 touchdowns on almost the same exact play in that game, and it was the same play, and he just got over the goal line. Damian Williams took the ball, set it in the end zone, and ran to the sidelines. And the first person to meet him at the sideline was Travis Kelce. They shook hands, and he went to the sideline. I thought it was perfect. But that's that respect that you don't see for guys like Allah that happened this year in Cleveland, the Freddie Kitchens, the Adam Gases of the world. That's something that's built, and I thought that was a cool way because John's right. That is a momentum swing, and also too. After that play, they took the 15 yards, so they kicked off from the 20. If you watch, Butker puts the ball to the end zone from the 20.
Nice.
It was nasty. It was a hell of a kick. A lot of people missed that. And I was thinking, Damien, they ended up taking the ball out of the end zone, but it was on the 2, and they got the ball to the 25, so it was the same as a touchback. I'd be like, yeah, Damian Williams probably went right over that motherfucker when they got to the bench and thanked him. Thank you, sir. All right, so
bailed him out.
It's little moments like that really show you about a coach and the way the guys played. And I thought it was cool. Another former player, with Jimmy Johnson, Troy Aikman's in the booth. Troy Aikman is sitting there just bawling like a baby in the booth. They shot to him once real quick when watching Jimmy Johnson.
It's because Joe Buck bit on his cock.
I know Buck wasn't in the picture.
It said gargle my nuts.
Joe Buck said,
So, one other interesting thing with the NFL this weekend, and you might be enjoying his last CBS call this weekend, would be Tony Romo. Tony Romo's been rumored to have a huge deal coming from ESPN. Could be a huge bidding war between ESPN and CBS to keep Romo. So, and ESPN, I have a feeling we're headed toward an NFL where.
Well, when you got Disney money behind you,
ESPN might be picking up a lot more games than the NFL. I feel like there might be a little bit of something going on. So.
Pisses me off. I mean, really, it's bad enough. I've got to stream the fucking college championship. When it used to be on fucking, regular fucking TV. But if or a whole day of NFL games just on the NFL Network, this is getting bad.
but are they taken away from Fox and
It could perhaps be.
Extra games?
I have a feeling something big might be
If they
coming
pick
in
up
an
a
NFL
Sunday
deal.
game, we're going to lose a game on Fox or CBS.
Yeah.
Well, what if they pick up? Maybe there's so many games that so many stations can carry that they got the
With the NFL, with the current NFL deal, I believe we can only see 2 games.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it might
With
be
the
different
current-
teams, but
they can deals with those networks. But if they do another network and say, okay, well, ESPN gets
Exclusive rights.
I don't think, I don't think they can.
So yeah, you can have they back and forth weeks on the national program of who can show 2 games in a row. So it's either CBS or Fox one week or the other. The 1 o'clock usually 99 times out of 100, the 1 o'clock game is the game that both are streaming or airing a game. So you have the AFC usually and NFC on Fox. So it would be interesting. I just have a feeling that if they're going to give somebody like this a lot of money like that, it could be quite a big deal coming. I think with the NFL and ESPN.
I just wish the NFL would get their heads out of their asses and stop that deal with the fucking satellite company. Dish Network. I fucking hate it because I can't stream games legally.
No kidding.
Here, take my fucking money.
Yeah.
I will pay it. I would rather pay it legally than do what I currently do.
Yeah, if you sit down, and that's the thing too. I mean, that's something I don't understand either. It's if you're say as a Bears fan, you run into this probably all the time. If you don't have the NFL package or you don't have Red Zone, you're not seeing the Bears play. Mm-hmm. So you can't. And like you said, if they had a service where there are people in this world that aren't just trying to go on certain websites and pull streaming sites from everywhere and then have to deal with them.
YouPorn?
I'll drop $2 or $3.
That's still legal.
I'll drop $2 or $3 to watch my team play. It's totally fine with me. Take my money.
They want $100 a year. There you go. Mm-hmm. I just got 16 football games.
Right.
I don't need to watch everybody else. I want my Bears.
Yeah.
So
I think we're going to see a lot change in the NFL TV spectrum coming up soon.
Fucking heads out of their asses and get with the times.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Christ, I can stream fucking the Jeopardy Championship if I wanted to, but not a fucking NFL game. Are you serious?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's bullshit. No, you should, like you said, you should be able to play. Pick. This is my team.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever your team is on, you get that.
I want a carte blanche the NFL ticket, please.
Yeah.
Seriously, make it fucking
2020. How do we not have that yet?
That
so.
jetpacks.
Yeah, exactly. I do a little NFL news too that came out on Netflix this week. The streaming device is the Aaron Hernandez documentary. If anybody has, if you're a football fan, I highly recommend watching it, especially because we all pretty much live this and watch this kind of unfold. But it's eye opening. It's a really great documentary. Talks. There's a lot of former NFL players in there. Kind of not big name NFL players. A lot of guys that maybe they got to interview because they played with Odin Lloyd or they played with Aaron Hernandez, or just NFL players that dealt with certain issues. I don't want to ruin the whole thing, but there's a couple NFL players that live certain lifestyles that are documented in this documentary. It's very interesting. It'll open up your eyes to the situation that went on with Aaron Hernandez, and
I will add it to my list.
Yeah, in that time in the NFL. So
and I feel like we're starting to learn a lot more about some of these players and the effects of playing the game, and then just some of the shit that they go through, like Junior Seau.
Right.
It's just
CTE is no joke. I mean, it can fuck you up.
Well, and just like mental illness. I mean, Brandon Marshall, he was
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, well, I believe Antonio Brown's definitely got some.
Drew Rosenhaus just dropped him today, by the way. Too.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Did he?
Said no, he said. Said he wouldn't work with him again until he sought professional help.
Wow.
Yeah. So, not to take us off subject of the Netflix special,
but well, no, it's not really though, because it's all part of that whole thing. Like if more people were aware of the mental health of some of these players, like you said, like if somebody was more attention, like paid attention to Antonio Brown, and like they were able to see it before it really developed and became a distraction.
Right.
But because he is who he is, like everyone treats him like a prima donna, and they're like, well, this is what they don't look for. The mental illness. The same thing with Brandon Marshall. Like for years, he's just a trouble player. He's a meat guy. And then come to find out, like he's had some mental illness. Like he's diagnosed with personality disorder.
Right.
And so I just feel like now that we're more educated on this, like we're starting to see like maybe we can help some of these players. Who was it a couple years ago for Minnesota Vikings went out on mental illness?
The lineman. And the Eagles offensive tackle did it this year too. Brandon Brooks, I believe, had problems where he just was having really bad. He couldn't play in a game because he had such bad anxiety. Yes, Everson Griffin.
And you're talking about great players, and they're just going through some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, or maybe they got
Man, did you guys see the latest video with Antonio Brown from yesterday?
No.
Okay, no. So Antonio Brown's mother of his child and his child are in front of his house with probably 6 to 7 police officers, and he's live feeding this on his Instagram.
Oh my God.
And screaming at the police officers, motherfucking all these cops, motherfucking the mother of his child. Well, you see in this video, it's like heartbreaking to watch almost. His little son walking across like to the police car and getting in the police car, and he's like chirping the ex-girlfriend as they're getting in the police car. There is something very wrong with this man. There's something very, very disconnected in this man's head, and like it's almost to the point like you're like you don't want to see what's going to come next with him. That like as Sil, that's you, just mentioned, as Sil just mentioned, he was dropped by Drew Rosenhaus. Drew Rosenhaus has made a lot of money off this man. It takes a lot for an agent to drop a player.
Yeah.
Okay, this is his representation. You got to really fuck up. I mean, every law enforcement agency that he's ever given money to gave the money back to them, and gave the money back to Antonio Brown. Said they don't want his money. All right, wow. These places are turning back, and like I just don't know how you expect to motherfuck the mother of your child. Well, your child's in the video. Well, you're motherfucking police officers. In the day and age that we live in, with the issues that have gone on with that, and over the last few years, take what you want from it. But this is insane. There is something mentally wrong with this man, and I don't think it's going to be. I don't think this is going to end in a good way. I think this is going to end in some sort of crime. I know that sounds crazy.
I hope not. I really feel we should move past this. Mm-hmm. And use EJA Moving Company. Professional movers at 315-335-0516. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, complete packing, and unpacking services. They work with everyone and make it simple for you to move and relocate. EJAMoving.com. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you.
This is a first-class temper tantrum thrown by Antonio Brown.
Motherfucker.
But like again, like if we pay more attention, and that's what I like what Brandon Marshall's doing about the mental illness and bringing that into the fold and making people more aware. And I hope that he does get some help, because I mean Antonio Brown, and let's just say he stayed with the Bills, he would have changed that whole team around. I think the Bills might still be in the race.
Yeah,
with a guy like Antonio Brown.
That's very possible. You're right.
I mean, because he wins you 3 to 4 games easy.
But Steelers saw this coming. I mean, this doesn't just happen when he went to Buffalo. This was a year and a half in the making already.
Because remember the year before, he was out of control.
Yeah. So it's just getting worse. I wish the best for him.
And then like going back to what you're saying about Aaron Hernandez, like maybe the signs were there and nobody was really looking at that.
Man, you will see the signs when you watch this documentary. It's going to blow your mind. Right. It's going to blow your mind how many people missed. It'll really blow your mind. So,
and I think that's how Antonio Brown comes back. If he gets help, right, and he goes out and gets help and says, "All right, I had mental illness, blah blah blah, I had a breakdown, I got help." people are going to say, okay, we'll give him another chance.
He's going to have to spend 3 months on an island with Ricky Williams smoking all the weed he can to get a second chance, to get penance for this, all right? And to do a bunch of yoga and really figure it the fuck out.
That's what, like, somebody should have said, you need to go, get help. And, like, even if he doesn't really get the help, but, like, just... He really should go get the help. You're doing, but the dude's nuts.
You're even trying to find a way out for him.
You're doing yourself no favors by continuing this act,
right?
Continuing this charade. He's doing himself no favors.
People give you a chance if you get help. We've seen it with Chris Carter. We've seen it with some other guys. You know, they go get help, and Josh Gordon. Hopefully, maybe he gets some help
Done.
Yeah,
done. I hope nobody gives him another chance. I hope nobody gives either of these guys another chance.
He's had fucking 3 already. Patriots gave him 2 of them.
He's had 5. He said 5.
Well, I'm not
going back to Cleveland.
Well, I'm not counting the ones with Cleveland because it was year off a year. You're signed. You're still living out your contract.
Selling cars.
Right.
I don't know, man. You know what? Let's talk about the excitement of this coming weekend. It's going to be a fucking good one. Shall we talk about these games a little bit?
Let's start with the Green Bay in 49ers game, because this kind of
go backwards.
Yeah, this kind of brings. We talked a lot about the Chiefs and stuff, and I do like this matchup. Obviously, the nod goes a little more towards Green Bay with the
great game earlier this year.
Which Green Bay looked like shit that game.
Dookie, I believe, is the word you're.
But I don't think we're going to see that same.
No.
No, their defense is playing good.
Kind of brings you back to that, Brett Favre, Steve Young kind of era of back in the day. The two teams being, 2 of the best teams in the league at the time.
If Bulaga comes back for the O-line and helps them out, I mean,
what a loss! You realize what a guy like that is. Huh?
Yes, yeah.
Especially you think about when Bulaga went down, he had the flu in warm-ups. He pulled himself out of warm-ups. I mean, you don't see that much. I mean, especially a guy like Brian Bulaga, who's been a grizzled veteran, But he to pull himself during warm-ups, and then they actually dealt with a couple other injuries in game with offensive linemen, and they were shuffling all over the place. It was a merry-go-round on an offensive line. So, I mean, that is a huge factor. Still, you're right.
I just got to tell you this comment that Dave just chirped in with. He says, "I am 100% behind getting people help for mental illness and thinking it doesn't get enough spotlight or legitimacy it deserves. But some people are just narcissistic assholes, sociopaths, assholes." I think he's talking about you, Sil. And of course, Lenny saying Niners in a blowout.
Yeah.
But
can we get you're going to need phonetical spelling for chicken?
Yeah, you need to. Or things that are such a narcissistic, sociopathic assholes. Wow, that's a
hell of a line, Dave Bandick. Hell of a line. Hell of a line.
I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I think this is going to be a closer game, but I think Aaron Jones is going to get shut down.
7.5 seems kind of. It started at 7. Neither of these. I believe the Chiefs started at 7.5 and it went down to 7. They're not far off from where they originally started. So.
I think the 49ers are going to shut down Aaron Jones and make an Aaron Rodgers beat you, which he can.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going with the Niners on this one. I feel like overall they're a more complete team. The defense in Green Bay is there, but I don't think they can handle like a guy like George Kittle. I don't think they can handle the running game of the 49ers. And I think they're going to get out coached.
I'm pissed because I don't like Sherman at all. But that D-line plays so well for San Fran.
They're fucking good.
That they make him look great because he doesn't have to cover his time.
How do you not like Richard Sherman?
I don't
He's like the
him.
ultimate team player.
I hate Richard Sherman.
When Trent Williams popped him when he was in Washington against Seattle. I loved it.
Here's the thing about Richard Sherman. You will not none of his former teammates talk shit about him.
No, I know.
What he does, he puts it on me.
He takes the spotlight,
off the guys, and for that defense, I love him on that defense because he's a loudmouth. He's got swagger. He's still playing at a high level, but he's got a lot 100%. Of young guys around him that he gets to teach and be the coach, and he's taking that step to be the leader and not be the star. And that's what I really like about him. He's becoming the leader, not the star. And that I give him a lot of credit.
No, he's still on his podium. He's still on his podium every fucking week. It's about how he got drug tested last week because he had a good game.
Mm-hmm.
It's something always to do because he's on the Players Association committee. He feels the referees are picking on him for all because of the past interferences.
It's always woe is me.
Yeah, so it is. It's always woe is me this year. No.
I don't know.
Stop cheating.
I see him balling out. I see him got that.
He's having a great year. I'm just nitpicking.
Yeah.
I feel that he's having a really great year because of that D-line. I feel that and it's just going to continue this week. I like San Fran.
Devontae Adams scares the fuck out of me because he was really good this past week, and I really think he's getting going. And he dealt with a lot of injuries this year. He dealt with some time off and stuff like that. So, man, this is a tough game for me just because the inexperience of San Francisco at this point. I mean, there's not a lot of guys who have done it on that team that have done it at this point in the season. It's a younger roster. I mean, you have your a little bit of veteran leadership in playoff runs with Tevin Coleman and who's that idiot that you love, the wide receiver that they traded for? Sanders. So you have a little bit of experience, kind of a little bit of leadership, but it's going to have to be the perfect game plan again. I feel like more so San Francisco needs to have the perfect game plan rather than the underdog in Green Bay does. I think Green Bay just needs to play their game. I think that Kyle Shanahan needs to have the ultimate perfect setup for Jimmy Garoppolo to keep him consistent, keep those other players in the game. I'm nervous for San Francisco. I'm going to pick San Francisco. I'm nervous.
That D-line's going to disrupt the Green Bay Packer offense just like they did last game. I'm not going to say blowout. It's going to be closer just because they already have played before, which San Fran won 37-8, and it was in San Fran again. So I say it'll be a little closer this time.
Really, just this goes back, one point I want to make about this game, this goes back to the importance that the last game of the season was and how much you realize San Francisco getting that one seed is. Well, because otherwise they're going to Lambeau this weekend. And Lambeau ain't the place you want to play this time.
And meanwhile, Green Bay almost lost that game against fucking Detroit last game of the season to lose the spot that they had.
Checking with some of our listeners, and Lenny saying, talking about Richard Sherman, he's saying his pressers are always taken out of context. And he's actually an intelligent dude.
I don't know. Yeah, he is.
Dave saying Sherman is great. Only chance Green Bay has is via the refs. Patriots of the frozen tundra. 100%. Absolutely. I say or the NFC. Either way you want to talk about.
One of two teams that have 15 home games.
He always gets those ghost calls. Yeah. And Lenny saying the second part of his season, of their season of the 49ers gave them playoff experience. And I would say the first game against the Seattle Seahawks gave them playoff experience.
Yeah.
That right there was a playoff game.
Yeah.
And we didn't know how important that game was until when they beat Seattle for home field.
Yeah.
Right.
And then every game since then has been a playoff game for them. And they played tough. I mean, even when they played Baltimore, they played tough.
I could agree with that sentiment. I totally am on board with that. But nothing is the AFC Championship game unless you've played it.
True.
Nothing, but not a lot of players have. Not a lot of players have had that opportunity. I'm not saying. I think he's absolutely right. There are a lot of games that you can look back to with the San Francisco team because I think we sat here. I think the three of us sat here until I hate to say this. I don't think I made myself.
Don't say it.
I don't think I made myself a San Francisco believer until like week 12. I don't think I really bought in. Really was like this fucking team's.
I didn't.
It was their loss versus Baltimore, which was what, week 9.
See, to me, it was their loss against. It's funny because it was their loss against Seattle that made me legitimize them as a real deal. Because of the way they lost that game was in overtime with like a minute left in overtime. And like Seattle had to pull it right out of their ass to win that game. And both teams fought tooth and nail.
Yeah.
And to me, that's when I was like...
I know it was a loss. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, it was. It was like, wow.
Yeah. They kind of remind me of the Titans.
Took everything. Yes.
They remind me of the Titans where... They got great leadership on the sidelines and in the front office.
And they got a decent quarterback who you're not asking to win the game.
Right.
Just don't fuck up. Do good stuff. We got a running game and a good defense behind it. They're carbon copies.
Neither did the rest of America. But that's where you want to be because nobody picked the Titans to be here.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Niners had a chance. We were like, okay, the Niners might be there. Titans weren't even like a wild card.
Nobody's given this 40. Nobody's like fully 100%. Besides, I mean, obviously fans like Lenny and fans of the 49ers are 100% in, but I still am like, we're talking about the 49ers right now in the NFC Championship
There's
game.
no guys that are like, wow.
But they had a great year. I mean, their record was incredible.
This is what kills me. You ask either Green Bay Packer fans or San Fran fans, and all they're like, "Oh, we're the underdog. We're the underdog. You're fucking number 1 versus number 2. And you both have fucking 13 wins and fucking 3 losses. No, sorry, 14-2 versus 13-3. Suck a dick. You're both good. Now fucking earn it."
Yeah. Yes.
Fuck you, Dave. He goes, we're amazing. He goes, we're amazing commentators like Lensmy and myself balance the terrible takes of Chicken and Silk. Fuck you.
And that's why we have the most knowledgeable fans ever. You guys are more than welcome to come in anytime and sit right next to us. And,
in between the both of you,
right?
I'll move back over.
But to me, like what we were saying with the the Titans applies the same with the 49ers, and like they got strong players that like developed that now we're playing. We're like, wow, they're really good. But when Emmanuel Sanders is like your number 1 wide receiver, who was kind of
outside of Deebo Samuel, who's been nasty,
great, right? Like, but we're seeing guys step up, and we're seeing guys in the Titans step up. Like you're like, wow, who the hell's this dude? And
if you're not going to do it now,
one-handed grabs in the fucking end zone.
If you're not going to do it now, when the fuck are you going to do it?
Well,
so let's go.
We see guys drop the ball all the time, and right now someone's going, well, they got Aaron Rodgers. You always got a chance with Aaron Rodgers, and you do. Mm-hmm. But they got a Bosa. I feel like Bosa's going to have. I'm going bold prediction. Bosa's going to have 2.5 sacks.
Ooh, I'll take the under. I'll take the under.
Really?
Yeah.
I like 2. 2.5. Oh man,
I'll take the under on that. So we're going 3 San Francisco here in the late game.
Yeah,
which really surprises me that we're all
in agreement
because of the Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I mean that's a little effect, but I mean to be honest, like I if you want me to go to battle with a team, it's not going to be a team full of Lazards and Valdez Scallions and Jimmy washed up Jimmy Grahams. Like it's not going to be a team of that.
Not a washed up Emmanuel Sanders.
No, because Deebo Samuels is an exciting player. All 3 running backs are exciting players in the backfield in San Francisco. George Kittle's exciting. Nick Bosa's exciting. Like. Aaron Rodgers is the Green Bay Packers, so it starts and stops at Aaron Rodgers. If you can contain him, which Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas
break
and
his collarbone,
those guys are going to hopefully have a field day on Aaron. So
I agree, and then you got a smart guy like Sherman in the backfield. You can see some turnover.
Yeah, no, I agree. Last week, your brother Bobby was so weary of Caleb's picks.
Well, Caleb,
that he's like, well, what did Caleb pick? And then he picked the opposite on purpose. So just so you know, he went 1-3.
He went 1-3. There you are, Bobby. Wear it, baby. Wear it. Love it. I love it.
That's great.
Love it.
So that's why I'm kind of worried. I'm like, oh, Caleb picked San Fran too. No, but I'm good.
I hate it because Aaron Rodgers is the NFL darling.
Mm-hmm.
He's
the next coming of Tom Brady.
Fuck Aaron Rodgers.
He's the Tom Brady of the
of the NFC.
North. Yep.
Let me fill my drink so we can talk about this other game.
It just you always.
No, I'm good. Thank you though.
He's that guy you always have a chance with Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady.
Better defense this year. I don't think it's gonna be a walk in the park like it was last time. But
surprisingly, Green Bay's got a good defense. I mean, yeah.
But you look at Super Bowl pedigree. Or not pedigree, but like Super Bowl experience on the teams. I mean, Green Bay just did an overhaul of all their coaches and stuff. So really, the only one that has it is Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Whereas, like you got Lynch and Shanahan. Like some of these guys have playoff Super Bowl
background.
Experience. Yes. So I just feel Green Bay's going to get out coached. I think that's what it comes down to is like coaching, and that's why I think like the next game.
The fact that these guys have already played,
LaFleur hasn't shown me much.
I'm like, and they really blew their fucking doors off last time. To expect a big turnaround like that, you're asking too much.
Lenny's saying they ran so much last week to keep plays off film for this week. You will see offensive brilliance from Shanahan. I hope it's brilliance, but I hope he doesn't go too far off the books. You know what I mean? Like, keep it to what's been winning you games.
I'm not a fan of holding shit back. No, I don't agree with that. because you can run against Minnesota. The fucking Bears ran against Minnesota both games and fucking dominated them. If the 8-8 Bears can do that, then that means San Fran watched that fucking film, and this is what we do against Minnesota. No, they were rushed for 190 fucking yards against Minnesota. That was a game plan. That's great, coach.
I think Kittle's
that's not holding plays back.
Kittle's going to have a what's his name from Kansas City-esque game.
What?
Kelsey. He's
Travis
gonna have
Kelce,
a Travis Kelce type game.
He had a good one.
This one. So
well, fuck this. We're all going to San Francisco. Let's talk about the fucking real game this weekend at 3:00 on Sunday. This is the one to dig your fucking teeth into right here. The Tennessee Titans are going to not take a far trip. Not a far trip from Tennessee to Kansas City to play the Chiefs in Arrowhead in a playoff game. Wow.
You know what really shocked me? If Kansas City just decided to play big ball. And they decided to play run, hit Kelsey, and kind of take them off their game.
You mean just chip their way down the field instead of chunk?
Yeah, keep their offense off the ball.
Field. Yeah, keep Henry off because that's what they're gonna. They're gonna Henry. It's gonna be run, pass, run, pass,
and they're gonna wear down
the same formula they've fucking done the past 2 times.
And the Chiefs are known for being able to get running on.
Yeah.
So I feel like the best play for the Chiefs is to keep
their offense off the field.
Yeah, play the same game against them.
God, could you imagine that? I'm hitting the under.
I think.
What is the line on this? Hang on, I got to check the over/under on this.
Kansas City did that earlier this year. I believe it was when Matt Moore was playing.
Well, yeah,
they switched to big ball,
right?
And they can really move a pile. So I think they can do it. I think if they go two tight end sets,
53.
That's the over.
It's more than last week. Yeah.
Well, they scored 51 on their own last week.
Right. But this is, again, Kansas City lost to Tennessee. Patrick Mahomes' first game back. Mm-hmm. It was in Tennessee.
He looked awful.
It was on November 10th. So, a few months ago. He did look awful. It was his first game in the brace. Never played in a brace before.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, gentlemen. I don't think this game's going to be close.
No?
I think Kansas City's going to absolutely whoop their fucking ass.
I can't say that, bro.
I think they're absolutely going to take them to the woodshed.
You're talking about a team that you said that against New England. You said that against Baltimore.
He picked Tennessee last week.
You picked Tennessee over Baltimore?
Yeah, he went 4-0. He called you lucky. You called it, and he calls you lucky.
But,
hang on. You wrote something that Tennessee was going to take. I got to find this.
90% of the world thought Tennessee was going to get destroyed in that game. If you told me it was 28, 12 the other way around, I would believe you more than the way it actually came about. So, you're talking, they knocked off New England, the reigning champs. They knocked off Baltimore, the team that everybody thought was going to run away with the Super Bowl. Now you're taking on the next guy. It kind of reminds you of that New York Giants team.
Oh, he's going comp city, and he's got a good comp coming. Go ahead. You can have it.
You like that old Giants team, they caught steam going into the playoffs.
Okay.
And we talked about this when they went against New England. I said,
it's a good comp.
They're bold. They're playing with a full head of steam, and they're winning games.
Here's Caleb's take on the Titans last week because he wasn't here. He texted us what he wanted. The Titans might be a team of destiny. I think Jackson will fold like a Buffalo Bills table in the playoffs.
Wow, what a fucking hot take that was. ESPN, my number is 315-404.
Then he's saying A.J. Brown goes off in that game.
Yeah, I mean he honestly.
You made some.
A.J. Brown's probably could very well be. I think he makes a case for Rookie of the Year, but I mean he's been awesome this year for Tennessee. I just have a feeling. I mean, watching the dissection of
who won Coach of the Year,
McDermott.
McDermott did,
I believe. Yeah.
Because
didn't he win Coach of the Year?
I don't think it's been announced yet.
No, maybe it was another news source.
Now I would say Mike Vrabel would definitely have to.
Correct. I mean, yeah, you'd have to. He has to win it.
I don't think they take playoffs into consideration.
Maybe I was looking at a media outlet that named their Coach of the Year. I apologize about that, but yeah, I mean you're absolutely right.
Because would you name if you take playoffs into consideration, Lamar Jackson Player of the Year?
Yeah,
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, because of the whole body of work. Yeah, Derrick Henry probably would win. Yeah, I mean,
if you use the "What have you done for me lately" ruler, there you go.
And again, like we said 2 years ago, he was a bust. People were saying Derrick Henry was a bust. That's why they picked up Murray and all those guys.
Sure. So for me in this game, I watched the 7 straight possessions, Kansas City just score after score after score after score, and it was lethal. And Pat Mahomes just dances around, and it's. I just think that when push comes to shove, even if Tennessee gets a big lead or anything like that in this game, obviously we all know not to count them out, not to count Kansas City out, but I just think that Mahomes has a chip on his shoulder. Damian Williams is been lethal out of the backfield. Travis Kelce is just Travis Kelce. I mean, he might be the second best player right now in the playoffs, or the third best player in the playoffs, I think.
Would you pick Kelce or Kittles?
Oh, Kelce, absolutely.
What?
100%. 100%. Or who?
Ertz.
I thought you said Hayden Hurst, the tight end for Baltimore. Oh, I don't know. But yeah, I think Kansas City. I don't think this is going to be very close.
This is tough. I mean, you see what they did last time, but no, it's KC. It's either going to be KC by a blowout or Tennessee by 3. I mean, I'm going KC. It's tough. This is really tough because you know what Tennessee is capable of.
I got KC circled, but it's like, man, their defense is such a and they've been playing great. Kansas City's defense has been playing way better since they played last time. But you see what Derrick Henry's been doing to defenses. He's been shredding them. And their offense is good enough to keep the ball moving with the pass and stuff. And their defense is tight.
And their defense has got to play even tighter this time because regardless of what you think, Kansas City still scored 32 on them. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a lot. Are you expecting your offense to go out there and score 35 again in Kansas City?
It's a different Kansas City team, but it's also a different Titans team. I mean, you're coming off. I mean, I don't want to overlook that they beat New England, that they beat Baltimore, that they had to go on a run to make it to the playoffs.
Right. They just beat number 1 and number 3.
Houston to get into the playoffs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys, their backs are against the wall, you know, and they're balling out, and they're a whole different team that believes. And when you got a team that believes, that's a scary fucking team.
I totally agree with you. I'm going to pick KC, but don't hold it against me because I really want to pick Tennessee.
I think this matchup, you know what this matchup compares a lot for me in my head? It compares a lot to the national championship game last Monday. It's two teams that you can make reasoning for both of them to win, but at the end of the day, there's one LSU, there's one Kansas City. Yeah, Clemson, it was cute. We thought you had a chance. And that's where I think Tennessee is at this point.
But I don't see.
Everybody wants Tennessee to win. Everybody wants. I think they're America's team right now.
If there's a cute team, it'd be Kansas City because they got the trick plays. So does Titans. But to me, the Titans are like that. We're a raw, tough.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. But I'm just saying, like
fundamentally sound team.
That idea, everybody. What I say is in the betting world, all you saw was movement on Clemson. The
hot take.
The 5 points is bullshit. The 5 points is LSU given 5 is bullshit. It's bullshit. At the end of the day, it was a 17-point win.
And that's what I think. I don't think the Titans are a freak show. I don't think they're like. I feel like this team is starting to become. I don't think you're right. I think Kansas City is where the buck stops. Although I would love to see a San Fran Titans Super Bowl.
Remember what you said, buck, because my next point is on that.
I just don't feel like the Titans are quite there yet. Kind of like I felt with Buffalo. But I feel like Vrabel is going to put together a team that I'm going to learn to hate in the upcoming years because I feel like he's going to create
a dynasty. We've got our next dynasty in the making here.
That Belichick handoff right there. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is going to be that guy, but I feel like the rest of the team
got to keep that core there.
He's going to be good enough to get them to where they need to be next year and the year after.
This matchup reminds me of, we're going years back to a Super Bowl, the high-powered offense of the Raiders versus the running game and the sick D of Tampa Bay. This is that game. You got a fucking mediocre quarterback, a great running game, all-star, and those fucking killer linebackers in Tampa Bay.
Brooks.
And yeah, right. And in that high-powered offense of the Raiders, where they couldn't be stopped. The defense won that game, but then again, I don't know. Tennessee doesn't have that. They got a good defense.
But then again, Gruden put together the Raiders team, so
right. So, but no, I'm going KC here. I think the offense is the high power.
You watch this. He's so fucking soft. He's over there preaching the choir, preaching 2 hours of preaching the choir of the Tennessee Titans. And you know what he already said? I got Kansas City circled.
Because my heart is in KC for a long time, but. Here's the other reason. Here's the other reason that like it really bothered. Like I'm torn on this game.
Well, fucking pick Tennessee, you puss. Pick up.
Andy Reid, like we said, is Marty Schottenheimer. Andy Reid's only been to one Super Bowl, and he's been to how many NFC Championship games with the Philadelphia and AFC Championship games in Kansas City, and he just can't get over that hump. Which I could see, like maybe like he's saying, "This is the year we're gonna do it." You know what I mean? Like because New England's gone, all the big names are gone, but. Got this hungry Titans team,
right?
That like kind of like the Colts back in Kansas City with Schottenheimer.
This worked out well for them. They don't have to go to Baltimore. They get a home game. That's a tough place to play. Hopefully that fan stays home this time. I believe he is. So you didn't see that? A fan walked out at the end of the first quarter because he thought they were losing because he was there. He felt
what a beauty move.
He did.
What a beauty move.
Out of here.
Maybe that's why he left.
What a fucking beauty move. Good for him. Beauty.
And so Mahomes told him to stay home this week.
Beauty.
This is going to be a great game. I'm really excited about this one.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good weekend of football, gentlemen. And I have to go back to my praise because I actually, gentlemen, for the show this week, I actually looked at my phone and took a screenshot of the time when the second game ended the other night. It was 9:52. Okay. And that's why the NFL, kudos to you again. Kudos to the NFL again.
You don't say that much.
I don't, but kudos to you on your scheduling of these games, the 3 and the 6:40. I know I go to bat for this all the time, but you're expanding your ability to interact fans.
Right.
All right, and good for them.
You know what I want to give kudos to is Utica Hemp. Utica Hemp, are you tired of living in pain? Your medication doesn't seem to be working or leaves you in a fog? Try a natural, safer alternative with CBD from Utica Hemp. With everything from oil, full spectrum, and THC-free, topicals, CBD flower, and dog treats, Utica Hemp has something for everyone. Visit uticahempco.com or stop into one of their 4 locations in Utica, Herkimer, New Hartford, and Clinton. Speak to the knowledgeable staff about how CBD can help you. And let me tell you something, my back was on fire today, and I could barely move. I went to the chiropractor yesterday. Dave Kingwater snap, crackle, pop me back into place. And I took my CBD oil this morning. I'm feeling a lot better. I worked all day, so
nice.
If it wasn't for that, I'd probably be keeled over here. So yeah, give them a call, man. Utica Hemp, they got the real deal right there, man. They definitely helped me out a lot. So are we all going Kansas City?
Yeah. We've got our Super Bowl. We've got our Super Bowls.
He does not get a chance to make any ground on us until next week. So
Lenny's saying Reed had better Philly teams and lost, and Dave's saying basically what I said, that Oakland lost because Gruden was there. The Bucs knew every play in the audible. So
he's right,
and that's shame on the coach for not mixing things up a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he didn't change a goddamn thing. Mike Smith, right? Or who the hell was it? Their coach?
Who? The Bears?
Raiders.
Oh, the Raiders. It was it Del Rio?
No, Callahan.
Bill Callahan. Yeah, that's right. Ooh.
And you look at who their quarterback was, Rich Gannon, who was a journeyman backup.
You're right. Hey, there's another one for the Hall of Fame.
And because when he was at Kansas City, he went 13-3, and they benched him.
We have to have a fucking Hall of Fame, inaugural Hall.
We should. That's what we're gonna do in the offseason. Put together a backup Hall of Fame. Before we go, I just want to say my condolences goes out to the Belf and Trinket's family, who Tom, good friend of ours, been on the show multiple times. Lost his mom a few days ago. Been a good friend of mine for many years, him and his sister, and basically their whole entire family. I knew a lot of those guys. So my condolences to you guys. It's sad, especially close to the holidays. So my condolences to you guys. But, we're going to watch these games next week. I'm going to get fat watching these great games. And we'll be back to murder the details next week.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Give you our best to ruin everything, guys.
and Lenny and Dave, if you want to come on in and
and show us how to do stuff, that'd be great.
Then fuck off afterwards. Yeah, that'd be good.
We'll talk to you guys later. Peace out. Bye. Oh, after I mute everything.
You're listening to the D-Line.
Join us Saturday, February 8th, through the Disruption Network 3-year anniversary anniversary party at the Jewish Community Center, 2310 Oneida Street in Utica, New York. Musical acts include Annie in the Water, acoustic performance by Haley Jane, Trampoline Jetstream, and Live Noah. Haley in the Water will cap off the night, covering Fleetwood Mac's hit album, Rumors. The whole Disruption crew will be on hand and will be presenting our annual D Awards. Party kicks off at 6 p.m. There will be beer, wine, food from Doughboys Barbecue, and Holy Pizzoli, with some incredible live music. Come celebrate 3 years of the D, Saturday, February 8th. For tickets, visit our website, disruptionnetwork.net.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broken everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Want to know what's going on at the D? Hit up DisruptionNetwork.net and check out our events calendar brought to you by the Events Co. Find out about upcoming guests, special events, concerts, show schedules, community activities, and more. Get connected at DisruptionNetwork.net.